Hello, and welcome to Improbable Things. I'm J. Grace Pennington, and this is my podcast where I share 6 improbable thoughts before breakfast, which for this podcast consists of 6 thoughts about reading, writing, or storytelling in some form or fashion. So I am ready with my 6 things to share with all of you, and I am ready to get started. So number 1, I am almost done with the first draft of my work in progress time stream. I was supposed to finish it today, and I'm going to work on it a little bit later this morning. And it's possible it won't be quite done today just because I think, so I timed it out to finish, 50,000 words today, and I may be able to do that, but it might not, it might need a little bit more. Obviously I never know at the beginning exactly how many words it's going to end up needing. It's just usually around 50,000, but I'm about just a little over 1,000 away. And so yeah, even if it's not done today, it'll be sometime in the next few days. Like, it's almost done. And I actually was able to stay ahead almost the whole time until yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I got a little bit behind on my word count. And it's interesting because I know I've shared how writing a first draft is always really difficult for me. It's always very hard to stay motivated and to sit down and write and get those words in. It's just a struggle like 90% of the time. But so that's normal. But then this past week, for some reason, I've had an unusually difficult time being motivated, and not just with writing, but with everything. So that's when I start thinking, okay, is this the weather? Is this something, just that I'm going through? My baby doesn't take her morning nap anymore, so that's kind of throwing everything off on our whole schedule. So is that just kind of making me more tired? Like, who knows what it is? But I have struggled more this past week. And so yeah, I got behind for the first time in 2 months that I've been doing it. I got behind yesterday. But like I said, there's still just like a little over 1,000 words to do, and to reach 50,000, and then we'll see from there. I think it may end up needing just a little bit more after that, not a ton. 1,000, I would say 2,000 more words maximum, but I would be surprised if it was that much more. So almost done with that, and it's exciting. And then I'm going to start sharing it with just a few beta readers so they can guide me a little bit on the problems with it, because I feel like I know some of the areas that it needs to sort of tightening up and polishing. But I think the general flow of the story and the plot and just kind of the way everything happens is pretty solid. So hopefully it won't need any major overhauls, but we'll see if early readers agree or disagree with that assessment. And number 2, I know I've been talking about trying to build my YouTube channel, and yesterday I got my first audiobook chapter up on there, finally. And this is the first chapter of the new and improved edition of the Radialloy audiobook. So that chapter is up on YouTube. I'm going to work on getting the other chapters up there as they're completed. And then once that's all done, I'm going to put all the chapters as one big video on there, because from everything I've heard, that does better than individual chapters. So that's coming as well. But in the meantime, if you're interested, the chapters are there. J. Grace Pennington on YouTube. And yeah, so I'm really excited about this. And like I've been saying, I am going to have some other content going up there soon as well, and I'll keep you all updated about that. But in the meantime, I think this audiobook, it just, in addition to being updated, with some of the revisions from the actual book, just the audio quality is so much better. Like, this is by far the best sounding audiobook I've ever done. So I am really excited to share it. And number 3, the big news this week, and honestly, even this could have something to do with my lagging motivation. Everything affects everything else. But so I've talked for quite a while now, probably, I think it's been a couple years, that I've been publishing on Kindle Vella over on Amazon, publishing serial chapters and other content. And for a while I was really successful over there. And then the past, it had kind of the ability to make much money from it had gone down a little bit over time. And then the last couple months, I actually lost money on it. So I already knew it was kind of dying down, and Amazon just was not putting that much resources into it. And so actually this month I didn't even do anything with it. I didn't spend any money promoting it. I didn't spend any time writing content for it, partly also because I'm trying to focus on some other things, YouTube and writing this first draft. But all that said, they sent out an email, I don't remember when, earlier this week, saying that they made the choice to basically terminate the program. They're winding it down. I think for about another month, you can continue buying tokens to read things on there. And then and then you can still keep stories up for a while. And then in February next year, it's going to just go away completely. Like everything is going to be leaving, like the whole platform is dead, basically. So it's tough because that is disappointing in a sense. Definitely, like it was really such a great tool for quite a while, and it was really nice to be able to get so much different content out there and really be able to be more successful with it from a business standpoint than I've been with pretty much anything else that I've done, in the writing world. So that was a huge blessing. But it had been clear for a while that Amazon was not putting a lot into it, and that, I don't think anyone was surprised in the Vella writing community when they just made the decision to do away with it. So, it's a little bittersweet, but it's definitely then makes it even easier and clearer to really focus on, like I said, some of my actual writing and really working on this whole YouTube audiobook thing. So yeah, like it's a bummer for sure, but I'm just really honestly mostly just grateful for like I said, the blessing that it was for those couple of years or so that I was able to use it. I'm really glad that I was pointed in that direction and that, it worked. It worked so well for a while. So, but now apparently it's time to move on. So number 4, I can't remember, I may have talked before about my daughter who's about to turn 5 next month. I have not done any official reading or writing with her as far as school, but she's gotten very into trying to write her letters and trying to figure out how to write words and how to spell things lately. And so she's always trying to sound things out. She's trying to write all her letters. And then the other day she came out and she was like, "Mommy, I made an envelope for you," which they're all obsessed with making envelopes. Basically, that's just where you fold up a piece of paper and put some tape on it and then present it to whoever for them to open. So she made me this envelope, so I opened it. And inside there's a page like more than half full of writing. And she didn't put any spaces, so at first I couldn't tell that it was actual words. But then I really look at it and I can tell like she's copied the first few pages of one of her picture books. Like I was able to really read what she'd written. And I was just like, she is so driven to do this. I'm like, this is going to be fun I told her when she turns 5, we'll try doing reading in school and see how it goes, see if she's ready. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun because she's clearly really wants this and is really fascinated by letters and letter sounds and words and writing and wanting to read and all that. So it's so just cute just seeing her self-motivation in that. So I told her, I'm like, "Are you going to be my writer girl?" And she's like, "Yes." So we'll see. But either way, it's so much fun to watch. So number 5, I just finished another nonfiction book. I try to alternate fiction and nonfiction. Excuse me. And I just finished reading the Journals of Jim Elliot, which I don't really have much to say about. It was, some journals, so you can't really critique it all, like from it was just a lot, and it was very interesting. You get such a intimate look at who someone was more than you can any other way, I feel like. So, it was definitely interesting, but I just don't have that much to say about it, so I thought I'd talk about the books I'm planning to start next, and that I'll be starting today. So I'm going to be rereading the Singer trilogy by Calvin Miller, and I have only read the second and third books, I think once, maybe twice, I don't know. But the first book, The Singer, my dad really loved this book when I mean, and still does. Like, my dad loves this book. And so when we were growing up, he read it to us, I think multiple times. And then when I was old enough, allowed me to read it, and I read it multiple times too. And it's just this sort of, it's a poetic retelling, I guess you'd say, of just the story of Christ and the crucifixion and all that. And you have conversations between him and the devil. You have just, I don't know, it's just, and the poetry is really beautiful, and it's just, I don't know, it's been many, many years since I read it, but I remember being really touched by it and really loving the beauty of the poetry and just all of that. And again, I really don't remember the second and third books because it was once, and I think I was maybe in my teens when I read them. I don't even remember. So I've been wanting to reread them for a while, but I could never find them like at any library or bookstore. Like, I keep an eye out for books that are sort of on a running list that I have, like whenever I go to a used bookstore, but they just weren't anywhere. And so I finally decided, like, I love these books anyway, like, it's worth just getting a copy. I want to read them, like, soon. So I got I managed to find a used copy of a combined copy of all three books on Amazon, and ordered that a while ago, and now I'm getting to it finally. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, I remember it being really beautiful, and it's really meaningful to my dad also. And it's been a while, so just revisiting it, seeing what I think, and then just, yeah, revisiting those other two that I really don't remember. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure I will have updates for y'all. So number 6, I know I've already talked a few times about watching the show Cobra Kai, and I'm going to talk about it again because it just keeps spurring writing related thoughts. And it's one of those shows that, for me at least, I was telling my husband this the other night, like, it really sucks you in. Like, it's definitely, I'm not going to say it's like the greatest show of all time. Like, it's very corny, which doesn't bother me, but there's just things about the writing that just really pull you in. And I'm trying to pay attention, what are those things? I'm always thinking about that stuff. And one thing I've noticed, and it's a love-hate thing with this kind of storytelling for sure, is it's constantly doing that thing that a lot of really good shows do, where finally, there's, all this difficult stuff is going on, and the characters are struggling, and relationships are just difficult and whatever. But then they're like working on these things, and things are getting better, and things are improving, and, all that. And then once it finally looks like, oh, things are finally going to get better, these two are finally going to reconcile, they're finally going to win, this is finally going to, stabilize, and people are going to get, happiness at last. And just when you're about to reach that point, everything just comes crashing down, like worse than before. And it's just that cycle over and over. And it's so hard because you just cringe as the audience or as the reader or whatever. You're just like, oh no, like, and I think I have talked before, because I think that the willingness to go for that no moment as a writer, it can be difficult, because I struggle with that, because, you just want your characters to be happy, and it can be easy to give them a little too easy of a time, because we're just pushed to want, them to be happy and things to go well. But that is not going to suck readers, watchers, whatever, in, like, constantly. Obviously stories are based on conflict, and so you have to have that in there, but just that specific technique where you're letting the people like claw their way up to something better, and they're almost reaching it, and then right then it's just, oh my goodness, like it's painful to watch. And yet then you can't stop watching, or can't stop reading or whatever the case may be. And I've noticed that with a lot of other things, like Downton Abbey, one of my favorite shows, is very much like that. And it almost seems like, in a sense, it's a little too easy. Like, it's a very simple, I guess I should say, technique to draw people in. Like, you just make everything, you let this pendulum swing, like let things almost get really good and then let them get really bad. And it is a simple, time proven way of sucking in an audience. But as a writer, maybe it's just me having too much like weird empathy for people that don't even exist, but it's very hard to actually go for that oh no moment. And I want to pay attention to that in my writing and to see, like, do I need more boldness to just go for it, just let everything fall apart, and not be afraid, not be shy to go for that moment and to let catastrophe strike. And so anyway, it's just something I've been thinking a lot about. And man, it is effective. Like, it keeps dragging you in when a story does that. So, good writers, they know what they're doing. But thank you all so much for listening. I really struggled, like I said, with my motivation this morning as well. But I'm glad I managed to drag myself up and get this recorded for you all, because I did have a lot to share. And I really love these conversations. And on that note, please do let me know if you have any thoughts about Kindle Vella. If you've been a reader on there, are you disappointed about the platform going away, or is it something you've never really even used or been interested in? And then if you've ever read the Singer trilogy, let me know your thoughts about that for sure. And then how do you feel when a story is about to let its characters finally rest and achieve, and then just snatches it all away? Let me know. Do you like stories like that, or does it frustrate you? So yeah, just let me know what you think about all that. Any other story thoughts? I love having these conversations with fellow story lovers. And so thank you all for listening. Thank you for sitting with me this morning. Hope that everyone has a great day and a great weekend ahead, and stay improbable. Bye.